Hello and welcome to another episode of the SmithSquad Podcast. This is episode 4, and today we're doing just a solo rendition. I tried to get a couple people lined up, but things fell through. People were busy. Life got in the way. I guess there just wasn't as important as this beautiful podcast that we're about to create. But today, guys, I got a couple things I wanted to talk about. I hadn't really planned for doing this solo, so I don't know how long this is going to be. This may be maybe a shorter podcast than normal. I usually try to go for an hour, but it is what it is. Now, no sponsor today. I had a sponsor last episode, and I got to say, that's one thing I just wanted to start off with, is I don't know why, but I have the coolest fan base ever when it comes to sponsors. Like, usually when you're a YouTuber and you try to make money, people are like, hurdy-dur-dur, you're a money whore, all this stuff. And I don't know why, if I've maybe conditioned you guys to be accepting with it, because I've always said there's nothing wrong with it. Shouldn't say conditioning. That sounds like I'm indoctrinating you or something crazy. But, you know, I've always kind of just expressed it like, it's not a big deal. I don't know if it's that or just you guys are a great group of people, but it seems to me, for the most part, like no one on my channel really cares. I remember I had one comment on a sponsored video, and someone's like, why is this guy promoting stuff? And then I'm like, I think even maybe it was at the end of the video, I said, you can go check out the sponsor. And he's like, oh, this is a sponsor, never mind. Like people are confused why I'm promoting it because they don't even realize that it's a sponsor. But nobody, I've seen like maybe one, I can't even think of any times where people have complained about sponsors in my videos, which is really, really encouraging that you guys kind of understand, you know, the whole university student thing next year, going to be, university is expensive, and this is kind of like my job now, which is kind of cool that I can say YouTube is my job. I have another job, but that basically fell through this summer. I worked at a golf course, if you don't know. Actually, I should clarify with that. I work back shop, so kind of like assisting members, cleaning clubs, cleaning carts, doing like picking all the balls in the range, that kind of stuff. And they made huge cutbacks this year, so I actually wasn't able to get that going. I have some work, but very limited. Like they went from having like 16 hours of work a week for my position. Not me getting 16 hours of work, but like 16 hours in total, like two 7-hour shifts and a 2-hour shift. They went from that all the way down to like 3 or 4 hours a day. So really big cutbacks. And I don't know why, but they hired the same amount of people as before. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. And fortunately, I had YouTube to fall back on. So it's probably going to be, I won't say an increased amount, but basically if I get sponsorship opportunities, I'm going to do it. Now, I'm not going to like promote the silliest things ever. Actually, I did have an opportunity to promote something on my channel. It was like this teen fan, like gossip celebrity thing. And, if I get something that I think some people will enjoy, like the last one I had on my channel was the one for cats. And I thought, I was like, you know what, that's something that not everyone's going to like, but that's, people like cats, people like animals. And it was like a teen gossip thing that looked like it was for 13-year-old girls. And I was like, my audience doesn't like that. So I didn't advertise it. I try to be honest with my advertisements, and I try to be as upfront about it with you guys. And I say, you know what, if you're into that, you can go check it out, but just understand this is a paid sponsor. This is kind of like my job now. So I am definitely, I'm not doing YouTube exclusively for money by no stretch of the imagination, but it is now a part. And when I get sponsorship opportunities, I am going to take them because I do need to make some money. And the great thing about those in-video advertisements, which I think a lot of people like, is you can skip it. Dude, they're all 30 seconds long. I don't skip it, but I'm just saying, it's not like I can control whether you skip it or not. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy that you guys are so cool with that. And I guess the whole reason why this is becoming more prevalent, as you probably see on a lot of other channels, is there's a lot of ad block on YouTube now, and that causes a lot of people to lose a lot of money, as well as mobile. If you watch it on mobile, the creator doesn't get any money. Even if you see the ad, that just goes directly to YouTube. And YouTube has never really made any interest to do anything about that. They kind of just prefer to get all the money 100% exclusively for themselves, which puts a lot of pressure on the content creator because they are getting less and less money for creating better and better work, which is weird, but it just kind of sucks in that sort of sense. But I guess that's kind of how all sort of markets work. Things get stricter, so you gotta squeeze every last kind of drop out of your content. And it is a benefit to you because it makes videos better because people gotta make more money. But the other thing that happens is we gotta have these in-video ads. So like I said, that was a long way to say no sponsor, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that, and I thought that this would be a good time to kind of voice my opinions and thoughts. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people. I always think that this is kind of like a boring topic, but people really enjoy hearing the ins and outs of YouTube, which is, I guess, as a viewer, when you don't really understand it. And a lot of YouTubers it feels like a lot of YouTubers try to hide it, like this is a business thing. You look at the bigger guys like the PewDiePies and stuff. It's like, I'm having fun and all this stuff, and you don't really hear it because it is a business. PewDiePie runs a business. All these bigger guys, Syndicate, whoever, they run a business. It is what they are. It's an entertainment business, and they don't want to talk about that stuff. And when you get a smaller guy like me that really just doesn't care whatsoever, and it's like, you want to understand that, it's a cool kind of experience, a cool sort of situation that doesn't happen often on YouTube because people don't want to talk about that and don't want to acknowledge that their business is a business, which I find really, really weird. So I have this exercise science class that I take at high school level, and it is a really interesting course because the teacher that does it is really hardcore into yoga, and they encourage all that kind of stuff, and just the whole, not the just postures of yoga, but everything involved in yoga, which I kind of want to get into in just a sec. They talk about, the breath, the spirit of yoga, all that kind of stuff that you may have heard and think is just whack job, psychopath, crazy stuff. And every 4 days we do meditation. We do 20 minutes of meditation. And I find I try meditation, and actually there's another tangent, I can get into that in a sec. I'm okay at it, but in a classroom setting, it's just really hard to meditate. So that doesn't really work out for me. But one thing I do is I do get just a brief minute in my class time, my school time, to just sort of think about stuff, just kind of talk about stuff, you know what I mean? And just think of random, really, really random thoughts. And today, I don't know what possessed me, but we had our meditation class, and for some reason, I just came up with I learned. It wasn't like it was kind of just like an eye-opening thing. Not even eye-opening. It was kind of something I knew but never really gave a lot of thought, and I just had the opportunity to think about it right now. Is that the brain created the brain, right? That's pretty much true. I guess nature created the human brain, but basically the brain created the brain, right? So the body grew, like nothing created the body. The body just grew on its own. So the brain created the brain, right? Is that fair to say? That we can say that in some tangible aspect, that's not even the right spot to put that word, but that just sounds so much smarter when I say in some tangible aspect. Some possible way, the brain, in some technical sort of way, you could argue that the brain created the brain, because it's like nature, but nature is a subdivision. The brain is a subdivision of nature, I guess. I don't even know how that works, but I came up with the idea. The brain made the brain, but the brain doesn't know how the brain works, okay? Isn't that weird? The knowing organ, well, really, we have one of the few knowing organs in the on Earth. Is our brain, because we have a more developed frontal lobe that allows for consciousness and thought. But we don't understand how it works. And when you think about it, okay, yeah, we're just a bunch of brains. You think about our minds right now. It's really just a bunch of brains, isn't it? I don't know if it is, but is it? We're just a bunch of brains with spirits? I don't know. It depends on kind of your beliefs a little bit. In yoga, I kind of think that there's something random going on up there, but I really don't know either way. But the brain kind of created the brain, or at least nature created the brain. Nature created something that knows. The brain knows, right? Whatever, consciousness, thought, knowledge. But it doesn't know. It it's weird how such a complex thing, like how complex is the brain, dude? We're living in a pretty crazy time and we still don't understand everything that the brain does. But it doesn't even know itself. It knows it's such a smart, complex thing, capable of knowing so much stuff, but it doesn't even know itself. And isn't that weird to think about? The brain created the brain, but it doesn't know how it did it. Or nature created the brain to think and know stuff. And the brain is so almighty and complex, yet it doesn't know anything. Like, the brain is capable of storing like a bunch of terabytes of data, but it can't. Like, really just weird. Like, the brain is this awesome thing, and it's like it doesn't, I don't know, maybe that's just the human sort of, the X factor in the brain. Like, it's just, like, humans are weird, man. Humans are just so, like, hardcore. And I don't know, how did the brain get here? It's just a weird thought when you think that the brain is responsible for all these processes and all these things, yet it doesn't even understand itself. And I think that's a lot just human nature in general. You know, we know so much and we do so much, yet we're really bad at looking introspectively, I should say, in ourselves. We don't know anything about us. You know, it's really easy to observe and gather information. You know, you see, oh, Jimmy, he's failing big time, dude. He's got such a negative attitude, and that's causing all the problems in his life. But if you think about it, it's a lot harder to self-identify with those problems. It's really easy to see. And I think maybe that's just the same thing as how the brain works, is that the brain can learn all this stuff and all these things, but it doesn't even know how it works. Really weird, the brain. And they think that the brain releases, at least they found in lab rats or mice or whatever, that the brain releases, or the mice release DMT, which is, I think it's dimethyltryptamine, which is this crazy psychedelic drug, and it releases that. And I think I got that from the Joe Rogan Experience, maybe, I want to say. Yeah, I think they talk about that a lot. Isn't it weird just thinking that something that your body creates that's illegal? I mean, I'm not like a big druggie. I've never even smoked weed, let alone like psychedelic stuff. But I find it so weird that something that they now think the body creates is illegal. Isn't that weird? Like, let's think creatine here. Creatine is often something that people say is bad for you. And by no means is creatine bad for you, because creatine is actually found in your body. And people say, oh, well, you take too much, you know. Yeah, but you got to take a lot of creatine to really abuse it, you know. And you can abuse anything on that means, you know. Because say salt, your body needs salt, right? But people don't go say, oh, salt, you can't have any salt, man, if you take supplementary salt. Well, what if you have a really just poor diet where you aren't taking in enough sodium? Because that can happen. You know, if you get really dehydrated, you can not have enough salt. And creatine is kind of like that. But if we go all the way back to this I think it's called dimethyltryptamine, the brain, supposedly now they think the brain creates it. And it definitely does in either mice or rats, but it's illegal. So I don't know, something like, what if it's like saying blood is illegal? Like putting blood into your body is illegal. You know, in some cases, like a sporting scenario, yeah. But you can't say something that you put in, something that your body makes, like that seems crucial to your body. What? That's crazy. That's crazy that you could say, no, you can't do that. Your body makes it. Your body makes it. Like blood, like that's something that is on almost the same level. Now this, I'll just say DMT, like dimethyl. I don't like chemistry, dude. I'll just say this DMT stuff is supposedly responsible for dreams, and apparently if you can like smoke it in like a higher concentration and you like see the universe, or I don't know, some crazy hippie stuff, but it is apparently responsible for your dreams. So something, I mean, dreams, I don't know how important dreams are, but there's something going on with dreams. I don't know what, man. I couldn't tell you what the point of dreams are, why dreams exist, or anything like that. But I just have a feeling in my soul, yeah, we'll say in our soul, that dreams are important for something, because we wouldn't, as a species evolving, we wouldn't just have dreams for no reason, if you think about it that way, right? We wouldn't just, you know, it's when you ever have anything like that kind of scenario where the body has the body has everything for some reason. Eyebrows were supposedly something a long time ago. I don't know what eyebrows do. Like the appendix, I think they think that the appendix was for kind of like grass and rocks and breaking down stuff that you shouldn't really be eating, that kind of stuff. But now we don't use that at all. That kind of thing. Nature is smart. It doesn't waste anything. Nature is like the most efficient thing ever. And when we have dreams, there has to be something about that. And I mean, I've heard the most craziest theories about dreams is that, you as a human are in like this, like a matrix sort of thing. And all right, here's a really weird theory. What if dreams are you connecting back to your actual world, and this is just like you reading a book in the future or something crazy like that? I don't know, dude. I think dreams are really important, and that's another thing I find crazy is that we know so little. We know so little about dreams that it's crazy. But I find actually, dude, my brain. Now that we're talking about brains, my brain is messed up. Let me take a drink. By this way, this gameplay you're seeing, this is like, I remember I was playing this and we were talking about like how I went down, I died, and I was like an investor, like rebuilding my stuff. So all I had was a knife, and I basically built my enterprise from the ground up, and I got a knife, and I turned my knife into an M14, and that doubled my money, or that tripled my money, or whatever. And then I turned that M14 into an AK-74U, and I invested my money into an AK-74U, and I had a 400% return yield, stuff like that. That was, I don't know, that was from a while back. This gameplay was from a while back in the live stream, but I thought that was always funny. I always look at it like an investor, like, all right, let's invest our $500 in this M14, which should yield 1,500 points, or even greater yields if we get headshots. And this should be enough to buy another gun, which will turn into another gun, which we can then get a box roll and perhaps get a gun that will get us tens of thousands of points. But anyways, back to brain stuff, dude. I had a concussion back in November, and I played football for 8 whole years. No real concussion. Now, a lot of the time, as things kind of progressed on and we got into it more, I like in high school, as you get bigger and bigger hits, like little leagues, we call it goes mites, peewee, bantam, and then high school. Mites. I'm sorry, did you hear that? Really gross. That was probably a really disgusting mouth noise. That was really gross, but I get allergies. I don't know if you guys get that, but I find my back of my throat gets itchy, and I gotta scratch it with my tongue, so I apologize for that. I won't do it again. But throughout mites, bantam or peewee by bantam, I didn't really get any big blows to the head. Like I would get things sort of like you get your bell rung once in a while, but you didn't really have any signs of concussion. And I found that as I got kind of through it, and it developed, concussions became a more big thing. Like when I started, it was like, oh, you can get a concussion. And when kids got it, it was like, oh my God. But it was really rare to get a concussion back then. And now, like I said, as I went into high school, it was weird because my first year, the last week, it was playoffs. And the week before, I didn't play, but just through normal practice, my brain was killing me. I'd rest. I remember I could rest my head up against the wall of my room, lying on my bed, and that would just kill. Not like a 10 out of 10, maybe let's say a 6 or a 7 out of 10. But for your brain, for your head, that's always a nervous thing. So, ooh. But it was the last week. I remember I was like, I have 1 week left. And the first day, Tuesday was always your big hitting day. And coach is like, no hitting today, guys. It's playoffs. We know how to hit by this age or this time of the year. So really, we're just gonna work on technique. And I was like, oh my God, yes, thank you so much. I won't get a concussion. So we didn't do any hitting whatsoever. And then come to game day, I didn't play because I was grade 10. I literally didn't even get on the field, but I was okay because I didn't want to get a concussion. So it took basically 3 months for me to sort of get a concussion kind of thing. And by the way, you just got boom roasted, George. But it took me 3 months of hitting, getting just pushed around and bullied to really experience the effects of concussions and all that stuff. Fast forward to the next year. It took me not as slow. I want to say, I remember I took a yoga class and we had to do like a journal every couple weeks or something just about stuff. And I did one and I was like, I'm going to do this entirely on what is wrong in my life right now. And I still have it. And I just highlighted every single body ailment I had. And that was the worst shape, not the worst physical shape, but like I had the most injuries of my life. I remember my ankle was, I had like twisted my ankle or something really badly. So it was like, it hurt to walk. My knee was screwed up. Both of my wrists were just destroyed, and they're still destroyed like a year and a half later, which sucks for the gym. I can't do like deadlifts. I can't do bench press. I can't do anything. All I can do are like squats. But my head killed, and this was, I think, 2 months. I remember writing this in October, the beginning of October, so like 2 months or maybe 7 weeks in. So it took 7 weeks for my head to just really, really kill. I had, like I said, a lot more problems than that, but that was always my biggest thing. And, whenever I hit, it hurt. And I kind of tried to limit it, like if I see a guy that I could clean, I wouldn't, just because it's like in practice, like, no, there's no point. There's no point. And I don't need to do this to myself. But I didn't have a concussion was the thing. My head was just in bad shape from getting hit a lot. And how did I know I didn't have a concussion? Well, they just kind of said, you can tell when you have a concussion. And I was like, yeah, my head hurts, but I've been banging heads for like 7 weeks now, so I don't know. But it was kind of alarming to me because I'm like, well, it took way less time this year than last year. And I was like, well, maybe it's just because, I've played this year, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I don't really know what it is. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, and we'll deal with it. So, the year goes out, everything happens, everything's all good. And fast forward to this year, which was 5 or 6 months ago, we get gear, and the third day of having gear, I was at the same state that I was in grade 10 at the end of the season. My head hurt that much. I can remember second or third day, like I said, of having gear, of just hitting people hard, because you're in grade 12 and you got to put a show on for all the big kids. You got to really step it up. And I was a linebacker, right? So that's like literally linebackers and running backs, like the hardest hitting probably position, because you're big, you have weight on you, but you're fast. D-line, I mean, they take more hits because it's every single play, but no one takes as big hits as running backs and linebackers. Now, that being said, DBs hit hard because they're so fast, but they don't get many hits like that. But that's nothing. So 3 days in, my brain feels like it's in the same shape as it was after 3 months of football my grade 10 year. So I'm like, shit, what the hell? I remember so vividly, this was, like I said, 2-3 days into hitting. I get out of the shower, I go to rinse my hair, like towel dry it, and just this shot of pain goes through my brain. And I'm like, shit, this isn't good. My brain is just deteriorating. But here's the thing. It wasn't a concussion. And I know it wasn't a concussion because I thought it was a concussion at the time, right? I was like, oh my God, I think I have a concussion. Should I take it off? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if this gets worse. And it didn't get worse. It really didn't get any worse. I don't know. It was like it got bad and then it just kind of went away. It was like my brain had to get used to hitting again or something. I don't know. But for some reason, kind of went away until the Turkey Bowl, which is our Thanksgiving game, really big game. We play the best team in the league. And that's when I got my first definite hardcore concussion. I may have had concussions before, but compared to what I actually got this, it was like, no, there's no way. There's no way that those were concussions because, yeah, my brain hurt, but it wasn't a thing like this. So game is, let's say, second quarter, and we are just getting pounded. Our defense was great. Our offense was pathetic. They got one first down all game, I should say. If you're into football, you see how bad that is. And I actually have the story up on my channel. I forgot about that. But basically, we get destroyed by these guys. And sometime during the second quarter, I just got pounded. And I didn't go down. I didn't go anything like that. I just got smacked. Just took it on the chin. And I remember it. I remember running downfield and seeing a guy, but I don't really remember what the hit felt like or what happened. So me being, I don't know why. Like, I was out of it. I don't remember what happened for the from the end of the quarter. I was out of it, and I kept playing. I kept playing because I was like so out of it. I was like, I didn't even know I had a concussion. And they say, when you have a concussion, you know. I didn't know, man, but I was out of it. I didn't I didn't know. The best way I can explain it is I didn't know I was playing a football game. And I know that seems weird, like, Patrick, you're on the field. How the hell wouldn't you understand? It was like, to me, it was this really weird scenario where I had to go out onto the field, and then we'd do this, stuff would happen, and then I get to go off. And it wasn't like I was playing a football game. They'd score touchdowns on us. It was like, okay, that's what's supposed to happen. All right, now we go off. And it was this, like, it was almost like this out-of-body experience that I don't really remember it, but I just remember, all right, we go on, we go off. And it was like, this is how it is. This is how it is. It's like, no, it's not like, I'm like a captain. It's not like, oh, guys, come on, we got to pick it up. We got to fight. It was just, all right, oh, our offense just went 2-0. Let's say the equivalent of 3-0, but we're Canadian. All right, we just went 2-0. Okay, so I got to go back on. All right, they just scored a touchdown on us. All right, well then let's go on. All right, let's let's go off rather. And that's just what it was. And I don't my first like real tangible memory. That was just kind of like my feeling, the way I felt, my mindset. But I don't have any like actual memories of like really running on and running off or plays or anything like that. But it was halftime, and I was just like walking over doing like really weird shit, man. Really weird. And my friend comes over to me who had been out for the season, so he was kind of helping out as like watching, like saying, all right, you guys are doing this, you're doing this wrong. And he comes up to me and he says, you were playing really good at the start, dude, but you just seem to be like, you seem to be there, but you're like missing stuff. And I was like, really? Like, I don't know what you mean. And that's the first like memory after the concussion that happened. And it kind of occurred to me, like, I feel really weird. It's so hard to explain. And the way I'm explaining it isn't even right. But basically my friend kind of said, like, it was almost the way I interpreted it was like my instincts are there. Like the way I'm playing is all instincts and I'm doing no thinking. So that was real. It was just a really weird experience. So third quarter comes up, and everything's pretty much fine. I kind of got it back together, and I was like, maybe I have a concussion, but my head didn't really hurt. So I don't know. I thought like concussions were supposed to hurt, and I was out of it, but I wasn't aware, and no one else was aware that I was out of it, except for Jake, or my friend Jake, who was this guy who was observing me. So fourth quarter comes, and this is the hit I do remember. I was again running down the field on a punt or a punt return. And I was like, all right, I think I'm good. I think I can really just clock a guy. So I go up to a guy who looks like he's really out of it. And I'm like, all right, buddy, you're going down. And he was a little stockier than I expected. I'm not the biggest hitter, but I could knock a kid on his ass, honestly, if I really wanted to. And I was like, all right, we're losing. I'm just going to knock this guy down. And at the last second, he's like, oh, snap, this guy's coming to hit me. And he sees me, kind of digs into the ground. Boom! That was what did it for me. That was my like crazy concussion right there. That was like it for me. I was like, and I knew right there. And there was like 2 minutes left. Like this was the end of the game. And I was like, dude, I think I just got a concussion. So we end that series, and I don't end up going back on, which was really good, because I'm like, dude, if I'm going on, I think I'm just gonna like tell coach, like, look, coach, I think I might have got my bell rung. I don't know, because my head doesn't feel too great right now. So obviously that was just not a smart thing that I did. But the problem is I was like so concussed that I didn't realize I wasn't doing the right thing. It wasn't like, oh, I gotta be tough, because I'm not that kind of guy, and I knew like, if I get a concussion, but I didn't know. So post game, my head kills. My head is so bad, and everything kind of hurts. And really, this is just another thing that I just kind of remember. Like, I just remember specific things, but no overall kind of scenarios. Was, for some reason, I was like the last person on the bus. Like, not even like everyone was like getting all their stuff off, and I was just doing my thing, like taking all my shoulder pads off, taking everything off. And I was like halfway undressed, and everybody else was already like at the bus. And I'm like, wait, why am I taking so long? And to me, it was like I was just doing a normal thing. But for some reason, I don't know. I really like, I couldn't function right. So I was like having all this trouble taking my shoulder pads off. And it turns out 2 weeks later, I didn't undo the straps on my shoulder pads. I just like took them off, which I don't even know how to do that. Like I've never done that before. I don't know, because they're so tight around your arms, like just you're strapped in. It's weird events. So anyways, to make, I mean, this is a long story, but like I said, I didn't have any topics like for a one-on-one kind of thing. So I'm just kind of going with what pops into my mind. I'm on the ride home, and my head doesn't hurt that bad, but it hurts a fair bit. And I don't know, dude. I'm like, dude, I don't even remember parts of that. And my friend's like, did you get a concussion? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't feel that bad. And that was the thing. I did have headaches, kind of, like that time got hit really bad at the end of the game. But it was like, I was like, I think I wasn't really sure still if I got concussed. So my friend's like, are you concussed? And I'm like, I don't think so. But my head definitely hurts a lot, which is normal from a football game. And maybe it was a little bit more than I had thought. But I don't think it's a serious concussion. Again, I was out of it. I was so out of it, I didn't even understand. I guess I don't really know. So that night, we generally, because this always happens, the Turkey Bowl, we face this really good team, we get the shit kicked out of us, and then we go and drink to basically ease our pain. I'm not even joking. Like, I don't ever drink to ease my pain, except for those 3 years. Every time I did it, because it just hurt so bad. And this time, I guess this is a pro tip for you: don't drink when you have a concussion, because here's the thing: I didn't drink a lot. I had maybe like five rum, not like actual shots of rum, but like five like drinks worth of rum, 5 shots worth of rum in drinks over the course of the night. And I wake up the next morning, I had the worst hangover of my life. And I'm like, what the hell? Why do I feel so bad? I heard like that's I mean, it's a fair bit, but over a couple hours, that's not that much really. Worst hangover of my life. So again, and I'm just continuing on. I'm like, well, maybe I didn't drink enough water. Maybe I was dehydrated from the game. Whatever. I continue on my life through the next day. Whatever. It's just usual. And then the next day I go to school and I'm on a computer, and that's when it hit me. I had like the worst headache looking at this. Light affected me. People would talk loud. It hurt my ears. All this crap going on, and I'm like, I have a concussion. It just suddenly clicked in my mind, like all the things added up. And why this added up was because back to the hangover is my friend was saying like my friend who had thought I had a concussion had told another friend, and he was like, did it feel like the next day you had a hangover when you woke up? Because he had a concussion that year too. And I was like, dude, I felt like I had the worst hangover of my life because I drank that night. And he's like, dude, like when I did it, I felt like I had a terrible hangover. And he's like, and if you drank, then that would have just like doubled the effects because, your brain gets dehydrated plus super brain damage. So it was bad. It was bad. So I finally realized I'm concussed. And I take like 2.5, 3 weeks off. I get back to it all. And, I played the game. It was our last game of the regular season. We needed to go to playoffs, and I thought I was good to go back. I went through the normal protocol, like go a week without a headache. I did exercise, really no headache. Everything was good, and I didn't push it. And everyone's like, Pat, you're a pussy. Why aren't you coming back yet? And I was like, dude. One game of football is not worth the rest of my life. So anyway, to make a long story short, I do end up playing this game, and I get another concussion. Really shitty. That time, I know I have a concussion because I know how a concussion feels. And I gotta say, concussions, man, you don't want concussions. When you get a really bad concussion like I did this sort of scenario, you just feel so bad. You aren't yourself is the best way I can put it. Your hormones are just out of order. Like your testosterone's not right. That's a big thing with it. And I could go into this for a long time, and I know I've been going over this for a while, but it's just something that interests me. And like I said, it's something I can talk about. I got friends Snapchatting me to go play GTA with them, but I see, like he says, I guess we're not playing GTA. Look, I'm gonna send a Snapchat right now. Recording podcast. That's in a bit. So I gotta send that out to him. Anyways, Snapchat's going all weird, but I did get this second concussion, and I don't know if it was like the second impact syndrome where you have a concussion and you get hit again and it just debilitates you, or I just got a second concussion that was like of equal or more value. I don't think it was as bad, but I felt it a lot more because I could recognize what a concussion felt like, and dude, concussion is like it's you, it's your personality plus like having a Horcrux around your neck. If you get Harry Potter, it's like having evil put into your body. You're just in a shitty mood all the time. Everything sucks. Everything hurts. Everything hurts. Your brain hurts. Your eyes hurt. Your ears hurt. Everything hurts. And you're just pissed off at the world is what a concussion feels like. So that all happened. And I'm basically better now. But here's the thing that really scares me, that makes me worry, is that I'm really in tune with my mind before this, especially because I used to do a lot of meditation, and I could meditate well, where I get to a point where I get this like really focus, like you're super focused. And ever since I got a concussion, I can't meditate anymore. I'm working on it. I'm getting better. But when I got that concussion, it was like my brain just got so scrambled that I really have a lot of just trouble meditating right now. It's weird. It's really weird, to be honest. Like my pituitary gland just got flicked, and now I can't meditate as well. And it's like on a normal person, they're not going to notice that because they're like, oh, like, who meditates? But because I actually, do this, and I like have that kind of really good awareness with my body, I was like, shit, man, this actually affected me long term. And it's 6 months later, and it's still weird. And I know that was a really long story just going on about concussions, but dude, like I like my entire last year of football is just clouded from that experience. I'm like, why did that happen to me? Like it's so shitty, and it could have been a lot worse. And I'm glad I took the time off in between because it would have been a lot worse. But god damn, dude, if you get a concussion, like don't mess with this stuff, man. If there's one person out there, if everyone's left because this is a boring story, but there's one person here still listening and is just captivated by concussions, dude, please, for me, dude, learn from my mistakes. Don't give a fuck about anyone calling you a pussy, saying, oh, you don't care, man. Concussions are not worth it. And concussions are so prevalent in our society today that they're becoming insignificant. They're just not as big a deal. They happen so often. They're such a common occurrence that the value of them, the weight, the significance of them is really being deteriorized. Deteriorized? I don't even know if that's a word, but does it sound smart? Deteriorized. Deteriorating. It's deteriorating, okay? It is really bad. If you get a concussion, dude, take some time off. And don't just take like a week off. Dude, take a lot of time off because I don't know how this is going to affect me in the long term. And I know that meditation is definitely helping me. And I'm getting slowly back into that. But ever since I got that concussion, I've been a more moody person. And I used to be a very chill guy. And I'm still a chill guy. And I'm getting better at being chill again. But it's taking a lot of yoga. It's taking a lot of stress-free stuff, man. And I just got changed. In a not significant way. Anybody who knows me probably can't tell. But I can tell. And it's scary to think back. I know I am significantly more moody. Not significantly. But like on a scale from 1 to 100, let's say I'm like a 10 on moody. Like I'm really not a moody person. Before this. I'm like a 20 now, maybe a 15. So I have a lot less temper. I have a significantly more temper. Things stress me out a little bit more, and I can't meditate. And that's it. And that seems so insignificant. But when I think about long term, like am I going to get like Alzheimer's when I'm like 55 or 60? That's what scares me because I can deal with not being able to meditate because I know I can continue to work at that, and maybe eventually I can get back to there. But oh man, I'm scared for the future. I am really scared for the future. So, dude, there's nothing cool They could just understand sports. Sports are great. Sports are a great activity to do, to build character, to do, be athletic and all this stuff, make friends. But winning's fun. But I understand. I understand the don't be a pussy, man. You're a hockey player, lacrosse player, football, whatever. But don't play with a concussion. It doesn't matter. In 20 years, when you are brain damaged and you can't meditate like me, it doesn't matter. 1 game, 2 games, 5 games. Doesn't matter in the long term, dude. So I get it. I really understand it. And I know the coaches say, don't give in to pressure. And it's so hard to give in to pressure when every day you're coming to practice and you're not practicing. People are like, come on, man. Being a pussy. Come on, man. And I was the captain, was the thing. I wasn't like some insignificant player, man. I was a captain. I was one of the better players on the team. Really significant. I won't say really significant. That gives me a lot. That gives me too much. But I would feel like I was a key component to the team's success, the little success we had. And I was like, no, man. But just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So don't do it, man. Don't do it. But that was a really, 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 really long, really long old thing. I gotta check the Snapchat again because, dude, they changed this whole Snapchat thing. It's kind of weird. All right, let's send. I'm gonna get a Snapchat with the mic in here. Oh, that's a great Snapchat. This is great. Aiden there? Question mark? We were thinking about playing GTA together. Anyways, what was the next thing I was gonna talk about? I just literally said. Right. So I do a lot of biking. I don't know if you guys know. Probably don't. I don't know how you'd know. But I do a lot of biking. Oh, excuse me. And involved in this biking. What is that a concussion thing right there? Did I just say involved in this biking? That was like a total blank-out moment where I just talked to try to, because I wasn't thinking and I was just trying to make words up. I don't know if that's a concussion thing, but I do a lot more of that than I used to, and that's scary to me. What am I saying? Okay. Biking. I do a lot of biking. So we've established that. That's taken a long time to establish that. Jesus. I do a lot of biking. And I really like road biking, kind of on trails. Nothing like mountain bike or anything. I have a tri-cross, so it's like a hybrid between a mountain bike and a road bike. So it looks like a road bike, but it has slightly bigger tires than a road bike, just so you can go on a little bit more terrainy vehicles and stuff. And road bikes are road biking. I just really, really enjoy it. And I've gotten into swimming a little bit too. I went for one swim once, a month ago, and I enjoyed it. So that's my insignificance on getting into swimming. But you know what I mean. I'm looking forward to doing some swimming now. So I was looking up marathons, or not marathons, triathlons, where you do I'm actually gonna Google the actual specifics of that just for you guys. Triathlon. Distances. There we go. God, I sound like a freaking idiot. Triathlon distances. So here we go. So you might not even be able to see that if it's not in HD, but so a full marathon is 3.8 kilometers swimming, 180 kilometers biking, and a marathon, so 42 kilometers or 26 miles. You American folks, I'll just go over that again. 2.5 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a marathon, so 26 miles. I looked that up and I was like, oh my God. So I started thinking about this. The 180 kilometer bike ride, I know I could do. The most I've ever biked is, I think, 35 kilometers, and I know I could do a 180 kilometer bike ride. It'd be mental. It'd take me all day, from 7 in the morning to a really long time. That's a lot. If I go 20 kilometers an hour, that's going to take me 9 hours to do. And I don't even know if I can go at that speed for that long. But I know I could do it. I really feel like eventually I could work my way up to a 180 kilometer bike ride. It would take a long time. It would take a long time to get there. Not even a long time to get there. It would just be mental. I really think that would be all mental. A marathon, 42 kilometers. I couldn't do that, okay? I couldn't do that. That would take a lot of training. I'm just not in that kind of shape. I do cardio. I do a lot of kettlebells, which, god damn, I hurt my back, which is the biggest. I've never hurt my back. I'm so careful about all that stuff. And this Monday, I stepped up to the 45-pound kettlebell. First time ever. I don't know why. But I hurt my back. And I'm so pissed at myself that I did that. So I haven't been working out at all this week in it. Anyways, 42 kilometer, right? So that's a lot. But if I needed to, I could definitely work my way up to that, right? I could definitely work my way up to that. It would take a while. It would probably take at least a year of training to be able to run a marathon. But again, eventually I get into the shape. Like, I feel like biking, I'm almost there. Like I said, I never do long distance bike rides just because I get bored. But at the end of like a 30 kilometer bike ride, I could, if this is the start of the season for me, so I'm not in that good shape. But by the end, I can, a 30 kilometer isn't even that tiring to me. So that is a doable, that's a mind over matter thing. 42 kilometers running is, once I get to the physical point where I can run like 26 kilometers maybe, so like 13 miles, half a marathon, I can definitely run 42. That again is just a mind over matter thing. I'm going to be in so much agony, but I could do it if I had to, right? That's the thing. I'm not saying I could. Like, I really don't think if I could go tomorrow and ride 180 kilometers, but if there was like a gun to my head, or, I can save my parents' life by doing this, or, I got to go relay a message to Rome, I could do it, mind over matter kind of thing. Same with the running. And once I get into a certain point of shape, I could do it. But a 3.8 kilometer swim, no freaking way. I'm dead, man. I'm dead. I can't. If I had to like swim that a lake, I'm dead. I'm dead, dude. I love swimming. I think it's so good for you. But I can barely swim 100 meters. I can barely swim 100 meters. That's 100 yards for you American folk. I'm sorry. You guys just got to get with your times. I'm going to stop that because I just don't want to have to keep making the changes. But a 3.8 kilometer swim I worked out is 160 lengths of a 25 meter pool. That is so much, man. When I think, 160 lengths, well, 25 meter length isn't that long. But when I go out and actually swim, like, I can go there and back, so 50 meters, and then maybe do that, like, take a break and do that again. And this is me in, like, good cardio shape, but not good at swimming. I'm okay cardio shape. I do, like I said, do a lot of kettlebells, so that kind of keeps me in good shape. But I'm not like a runner or anything crazy like that. I'm more like muscular endurance. Like 100 meters of swimming just kills me. Like, kills me. Like I could just, if I really need to, and I just need to get out some energy, I can just go for a swim, do like literally really hard 100 meter swim, and I'm gassed, man. And I feel good after that if I really just push myself. I don't understand. How could you be able to swim 3.8 kilometers, man? I wouldn't even want to run that. My physical body right now, I couldn't even run. I don't even want to run 3.8 kilometers. That's going to tire me out, man. 3.8 kilometers swimming? Oh my God, dude. You have to be in the most unbelievable shape. Like, unfreaking believable. Holy good Lord. You get a cookie, sir. That's amazing. I applaud anyone who's done that. But moving back to it, a triathlon sprint, however, is 750 meters of swimming, which again scares the crap out of me. But it's only 20 kilometers of biking and 5 kilometers of running, which is 12 miles biking, 3 miles running. I could train up to the run, and 20 kilometers on a bike is a piece of cake. But 750 meters on the swim, that even scares me, man. Like, I want to do like 750 meters for the swim, but then go up to the Olympic standard, which is a 40 kilometer bike and a 10K run. So I don't know, man. I want to just like do some sort of triathlon just for the heck of it this summer. Like, no competition, screw that. Just for me, just to do it. But dude, I got to get into swimming, which actually I maybe should do that, dude, because like I haven't worked out in 3-4 days, and swimming might work, man. Swimming might actually work. Because I know swimming is really good if it's a very low impact, and you have any problem with your knees, with ligaments, stuff like that, it's really great. But, it's no impact, which is the great thing. But my back is kind of I don't know, man. Don't know. I got to look into that, though. That actually is a debatably good idea. Because I got to do some sort of exercise. God damn, that's another thing. Don't hurt your back, man. I'm like, my back is gonna. I know my back is gonna be fine. My dad's a doctor. I was like, look, Dad, people always hurt their backs, and sometimes their backs are never fine again. Am I gonna be like that? He's like, well, no. Usually, like people who hurt their backs and their backs are never fine again is because they don't do anything to fix it. But you, on the other hand, actually exercise and eat well, so you should probably be good in like a week or so. So I'm like, okay, well that makes me feel confident because my dad he's sort of retired, so he's an anesthesiast, so he doesn't do like actual like putting people to sleep for the surgeries, but he does have like a pain clinic for people generally with lower back pain. So he says I should be fine, and I trust him because he's a specialist. But man, does it suck, and man, is it a scary thing. I've never done that. I'm such a careful person when it comes to that. Like deadlifts, I'd never lift super heavy. I'd never go over like a three rep max or anything like that. Never do a 2 or a 1 rep max. Hardly even a 3. I usually stop at 5. Kettlebells, like I said, highest I went really was 40s, and I'd usually just go 35 because I didn't want to hurt myself, or even warm up with like a 25 or 30. And I don't know what I did, but I obviously just I hyperextended it is what I did. I just bad form, and man, does that suck. I take a hurt back over concussion any day of the week. I take my back. I mean, dude, I have so many injuries from football. Like, just don't even play football, dude. If you're gonna play football, be a wide receiver, be a quarterback, or be a little quarterback. Don't be a running quarterback. Be a throwing quarterback or be a defensive back. Don't be a running back. Don't be a linebacker for sure. I got experience from that. And you probably don't want to be an O lineman or a D lineman because that sounds like it's pretty crappy too. Dude, don't play football. It's fun. God damn, is it a fun sport? But it is not. Just ruins your life, man. Like I can barely do bench press anymore because my wrists are so bad. I can remember in the season this year, my thumb. If anyone brushed it, so like imagine someone. Okay, so put your fingers on like your radius, so the bone. All right, now here, put it on your bicep, right? Put it on your bicep, and put your hand sideways, so like you're making kind of like vertically up, and run your fingers along like that kind of big like whacking off muscle. You know what I mean? Along your radius. And over your thumb, and just kind of brush it, just kind of like a quick brush. That you hear that right there? That was enough to put me in excruciating pain over my thumb. I don't know what I did, man. It was like tendons, bruised ligaments, or something. Like football just kills you. Okay, and this has been all about complaining about football. Just stories from that, but dude, football kills you. But I want to get into like just try a triathlon or even a biathlon because running sucks. I'm sorry, runners. If there's any runners out there, look, I get it. It's really good for you. Our bodies are designed to run, and it feels, it feels good for you. It is, you enjoy it. But dude, you're stupid. Why are you running? Why are you running, man? Although our bodies can run these super marathons, they don't need to, man. You don't need to be running. You don't need to be running, okay? Running, well, you get to a certain point in running where that's all you do. I see a lot of these kind of people that are older. My old hairdresser does this. Is they get to a point where running like makes them sickly, and I think a little bit of running is definitely good for you. But people overdo running, and it's the only form of activity that I see people overdo it. You can say, oh, overtraining your biceps and all this stuff, but I don't see people overdo anything. Your muscles recover, but people overdo running in this really weird way where they get so skinny, all their muscle mass is just depleted because it's catabolism, where your muscles, your body has no fat left to burn, and you're running the super marathon, dude. You're going to burn all the food and your fat, right? So it's eating your muscles. And people get my hairdresser has to get like blood transfusions because she runs a marathon a day. I don't understand why people do that. If you want to do it, good for you. Be healthy. But dude, just don't overdo running because that's the only athletic thing that I see people really overdo is running. But I really want to get into swimming. I really want to get into biking. I'm already into biking. And I really want my back to get fixed so I could just be like a kettlebell warrior. Like if my summer, or even starting like now, it would just be like kettlebells, squats, biking. Gotta have bicep curls and bench press. I do really light bench press just to keep my chest kind of maintained. because I gotta have a nice chest, right? Because I gotta be like a sexy bodybuilder. No, actually, yeah, I am serious. That's why I do it. But just kind of because it looks silly if your whole body's like in good shape. Well, I'm not saying I'm in good shape, but if I get to it in good shape and then I have like no chest, like that's gonna look silly. So you got to do the aesthetic things like the bicep curls, the triceps, the bench press, whatever. But I'm not even really, I don't really enjoy that. It's more just like, well, if I exercise, I may as well kind of try to look good. But I like the kettlebells, I like the squats. I love deadlifts, but I can't do deadlifts anymore. They just ruin my wrists. They're so good for you though. I can do trap deadlifts, which are fun. Biking, swimming, and just a poop ton of yoga, and I'd just be like in the best shape of my life. That's what I'm going for, but hopefully once this whole back thing turns out, we'll be better. But anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna go. That is almost an hour, not quite, but I promised some guys to play GTA with them, and that's the end of the gameplay. So hopefully that was definitely a different episode, or different sort of thing of the SmithSquad podcast. I like doing these solos. I've really thought I wanted to get people on every week and just try to do this as limited as possible. But this was great, man. This was great, just talking about stuff for an hour or close on an hour. So that was that, guys. I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for enjoying this. I love doing these podcasts, man. Really do like doing the solo thing. Might have to do it more, but we'll find out later. Next week's guest is probably going to be YouTube. Actually, I have a whole list of people who I want to get on. I've already had Dave and Adam on, and the next person that I really want to get on my list is Yoon, because I haven't talked to that guy in a while, and I like Yoon. He's a good friend of mine, and we haven't talked in a long time, so I really want to talk to him. He's a little bit older than me. We can exchange some wisdom, all that stuff. The Scottish. So hopefully we can get him on, but like I said, he's working, so it's hard to work that out. Thank you for coming on, and peace out. Are we done? I'm still recording. Poop, I screwed this up. Oh, there we go. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.